There is no such thing as luck. What appears as randomness to the outer man is perfect orchestration to the inner man. The idea that things just happen is the great illusion of the senses. What we call chance is merely the name we give to unseen causation, and that causation is always within. To those unaware, a lottery win is a fortunate accident, a twist of fate, a golden moment that landed mysteriously in their lap. But to the awakened mind, it is never the spinning wheel or the shuffled ticket that determines outcome. It is the assumption, quiet, deliberate, and sustained. A man does not win the lottery by the movement of numbers. He wins when he moves inwardly, when he shifts his state of being and enters into the feeling of the fulfilled desire. This is not a mental wish or a hopeful thought. This is the embodiment of the thing desired. One does not beg the universe for riches, becomes the one who already has them. You do not stand outside of the winning experience looking in. You step into it. You become it. If you desire a lottery win, then imagine the scene that would be true if you had already won, not tomorrow, not next month, but now. Imagine the aftermath. See the changes in your life that would naturally follow such an event. Hear the voices of loved ones congratulating you. Smell the new environment. Touch the texture of that new life. Immerse yourself in the feeling of certainty. And here is the mystery. Once this assumption is felt deeply and accepted as reality, your world begins to rearrange itself. The outer world, being a reflection of your inner state, must mirror the truth you now embody. It has no choice. But here is where most falter. They seek evidence before the assumption is formed. They wait for a sign to believe. Yet that is not the law. That is reversal. Belief must come first. The feeling of already being the one who has won must take root before the event is seen, just as a seed must be planted before the plant appears. To assume is to create. When you assume a state and dwell in it consistently, you begin to shape the world around you without lifting a finger. Things will come to you effortlessly, not because you chase them, but because they are the natural outpicturing of the state you now occupy. This is not wishful thinking. This is law. You must become the thing you seek before you can possess it in the outer world. The assumption of wealth produces wealth. The assumption of winning produces the win. And this must be done inwardly, not conditionally. You do not wait to see the bank balance before you feel abundant. You feel abundance now, and the bank must follow. What you are inwardly conscious of being is what your life will reflect. And here lies your power, not in the ticket, not in the game, not in the odds, but in the identity you accept as your own. The lottery, like everything else, is just a vehicle through which consciousness expresses itself. It is not the source of your wealth. You are. The outer game is the shell. The inner game is the seed. You must not confuse the container for the cause. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and persist in that state, you will begin to notice changes. Your reactions will change. Your thoughts will shift. Your desires will calm. This is the first fruit. And then you may begin to notice what others call signs, small reflections of your assumption. Someone may mention a big win in passing. You might find yourself drawn to a specific number. You may even dream of holding the check in your hand. These are not suggestions from the outside. These are confirmations from the inside. They are symbols of the state you now occupy. But the assumption came first. You did not wait for the world to give you proof. You became the proof. You walked in the conviction of your desire already fulfilled, and the world had no choice but to comply. There is a sacred law, immutable and impersonal. Whatever you accept as true of yourself becomes your experience. So accept it now. Walk in the spirit of the one who has already won. Let that be your daily rhythm, your inner posture, your dominant tone. When doubt arises, do not argue with it. Simply return to your assumption. Feel the end. Live from the end. It is not your job to determine how it will come to pass. That is the work of the law itself. Your only work is to feel the state as done and remain there faithfully. And when the outer world finally catches up, when the numbers fall in place, when the check arrives and the world calls you lucky, smile, not because you are surprised, but because you knew. You were not waiting for it. You were living it long before it arrived. You do not win by chance. You win by assumption. A sign is not to convince you. A sign is the echo of your conviction. It is not the sign that creates the conviction. It is the conviction that gives birth to the sign. This is a truth that the senses resist, for the natural man wants proof before belief. He seeks outward evidence to validate his inner desire. But this is not the way of creation. The world does not shape your mind. Your mind shapes the world. To walk in power is to reverse the order. It is to believe before seeing. It is to feel the reality of your desire before it takes form. And when that feeling is accepted as truth, the outer world begins to shimmer with reflections, glimpses, clues, symbols. What many call signs are simply the shadows of your assumption taking shape. The moment you dare to feel the wish fulfilled, a seed is sown in the invisible. It is not yet visible to the eyes of flesh, but it is real, and like all seeds, it must sprout. The signs that follow are not messages sent to coax you into faith. They are the first leaves breaking through the soil. They are the evidence that the process has begun. But the sign is not the cause. It is the effect. It is not to persuade you to believe it is the consequence of the fact that you already do. When you fully assume that your desire is fulfilled, when you feel it, live from it, think from it, the signs will naturally appear, and they will come gently, without effort. You may overhear a stranger speaking of a lottery win. You may find yourself guided to a store, a date, a number. You may dream of holding a check in your hands. These things are not meant to make you believe. They are there because you already believe. This is where the untrained mind falters. It sees a sign and tries to make it mean something. It begins to question and analyze. Was that a sign? Should I take this path? Does this mean it's happening? But to question the sign is to forget the cause. The sign is a mirror. You do not ask your reflection in the mirror what to do. You adjust the self, and the reflection follows. So it is with all signs. They do not instruct. They reflect. They are not instructions from some external power. They are the natural and inevitable outpicturing of your current inner state. And if the signs are not yet appearing, then check not the sky, but your own soul. Have you truly assumed the state of already having what you seek? Or are you merely wishing? Are you living in the end, or waiting for a reason to begin? The signs do not come to start your belief. They come because you have believed. A man who walks as though his dream is already true does not look for signs. He does not question. He does not worry. He walks with the calm certainty of fulfillment. And in that calm, signs flow to him without effort. They appear as a natural extension of his assumption. There is no need to chase them. The moment you chase, you have declared that you do not yet believe. And belief, true belief, is stillness. It is rest. It is the ability to stand in the middle of nothing and smile, knowing everything is already done. Let the signs come and go. Let them rise and fall like the tide. They are not your focus. They are only ripples on the surface of a deeper truth. You are the source. Your assumption is the cause. And the world, in all its form and movement, is the echo. Do not wait for a sign to begin your journey. Begin within. Begin by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and the signs will not be long to follow. And when they come, let them reassure, not instruct. Let them confirm, not lead. A sign is a whisper from your own soul, a reminder of the state you already occupy. It is not shouting believe, it is softly saying you already do. And if the signs stop, then return to the state. Feel again, assume again, trust again, for the signs will follow the state as surely as shadows follow form. It is not the world that proves your belief. Your belief creates the world. There is no mystery in the sign. The only mystery is in the unseen work of consciousness itself, which forms the invisible mold of the scene. Every word spoken, every image glimpsed, every number noticed, it all begins as a vibration within you. And when that vibration is held long enough, steadily enough, with quiet faith, it moves into form. This is not superstition. This is the law of being. The outer must always match the inner, and when the inner is clear, the outer reflects it with precision. So do not concern yourself with reading signs like sacred omens. Simply know that when they appear, they are there because of what you have already accepted as true. They are not random. They are echoes. They are proof not that you are about to believe, but that you already have. You do not look for signs. You become the sign. The first sign of a lottery win is not in the numbers you see, but in the feeling of having already won. Before any outer evidence appears, something must shift inside. Not a fleeting wish or a hopeful desire, but a deep, quiet, unshakable knowing. That knowing is not based on anything in the world. It is not logical, not mathematical. It is felt. You may look at your bank account and see lack, look at the ticket and see uncertainty, but beneath the surface there is a sense that something has already occurred, a stillness, a peace. That feeling, subtle yet powerful, is the first true sign. It is not numbers or patterns that declare the win. It is the inner man rising to a new level of identity the moment you become the one who has already received. The world believes in external signs, in probabilities, in facts. But facts follow consciousness, not the other way around. If you are waiting to feel successful until the results appear, you wait in vain. The result will only come when the inner state is firmly assumed and faithfully occupied. To win is not merely to receive money. It is to assume the identity of the winner. It is to walk, speak, feel, and think from that version of yourself who has already achieved the desire. And the first evidence of that change is internal. It arrives not with fireworks, but with a strange sense of normalcias, if what you once longed for is now simply natural. There may be no fanfare, no immediate sign, but inside there is an ease, a knowing. It is not excitement, not even joy, it is a deep calm. You stop asking when, you stop looking for proof, you stop hoping. You have already received, and then from that state your world begins to echo back what you have accepted. Things may start to line up, you may see symbols, hear conversations, feel impulses, but all these are secondary. They are effects, never causes. People often look for signs before they feel the change. They stare at the outer world, waiting for confirmation. But this is the reversal of truth. Nothing can show up outside you that has not first been established within. All things move from within out. So what does this feeling of already having won truly feel like? It feels like relief, like a release. The tension is gone. You no longer try to make it happen. You are no longer seeking, you know. There is no effort in knowing. There is no anxiety in possession. You may find yourself smiling for no reason. You may wake up with a sense of ease. Things that once stirred doubt now pass by without reaction. This shift in your emotional tone is the first proof you have moved. The outer world may still look the same, but the seed is planted. And just like in nature, the harvest follows the planting not instantly, but inevitably. This inner feeling is not fantasy. It is creation. You are not pretending, you are generating the reality from the inside out. Imagination, when felt as real, becomes reality. And that feeling of already won is not a luxury, it is a requirement. Until that state is assumed, the desire remains distant. Once the state is claimed, the desire begins to take form. The feeling is the bridge. The world cannot resist a man who refuses to come out of the state of the wish fulfilled. His world must shape itself to match that inner conviction. Some try to create by sheer will. They focus on actions, on strategies, on doing more. But action alone is not the source of results. The state you occupy determines the effectiveness of every action you take. It is not what you do, it is who you are being when you do it. The man who acts from a state of already having won speaks differently, moves differently, even breathes differently. His steps are not desperate, they are aligned. He is not hoping, he is remembering. And this feeling does not need to be loud. In fact, it is often quiet. It slips in like a whisper. It feels ordinary. You may not even notice the exact moment it happens. But suddenly you are no longer trying. You are living. That shift, that subtle yet powerful transformation of identities, the first real sign that your lottery win is near. Not because the world showed it to you, but because you became the one who no longer needs to see it to believe it. And then, as surely as night follows day, the signs begin to appear externally. But by then, they are merely reflections of the new state you live in. You are not impressed by them. You are not surprised. You expected them. They are part of the unfolding. To try and win without this inner transformation is like expecting a harvest from seeds you have not planted. But once the feeling is accepted as real, the process is already underway. You do not make it happen, you allow it to unfold. So remember, the numbers you seek, the ticket you hope will change your life, are not the beginning, they are the end. The true beginning is internal. It is the quiet, certain knowing, I have already won. And once you dwell in that state consistently, with faith and stillness, the rest must follow. Do not look outward for approval or confirmation. The first sign of a lottery win is not in the numbers you see, but in the feeling of having already won. Many people spend their lives looking to the outer world for validation. They search for signs that their desires are justified, that the world will somehow confirm their dreams before they take the first step toward them. The outer world becomes the source of their belief. They ask, when will the numbers align? When will I see the first evidence of my desire being fulfilled? But this is where the process is often misunderstood. The true power does not lie in waiting for the external to reflect your desire. The true power lies in understanding that you are the source of the power. The external world is merely a mirror of what is within. The validation you seek does not come from the outside, it must come from within you. When you decide to win, when you decide to be the one who has already achieved their goal, you no longer wait for the world to tell you it's possible. You no longer need external proof or confirmation. You walk as though it has already happened. You feel as though it has already happened. And from that place of assurance, the world must comply. The first sign of your lottery win will not come in the form of numbers or external indicators. It will come as the quiet shift within you. It will be the feeling of certainty that you are already the one who holds the winning ticket. And once you claim this feeling, once you believe that you are already there, you will notice subtle shifts in your reality. But most importantly, you will no longer look outward to see if your assumption is true. You will no longer look for validation from the world. You will know within yourself that the assumption has already been fulfilled. The outer world will simply follow the inner truth you have accepted. This is the natural law of manifestation. There is a powerful lesson in this. Do not let the world tell you what is true. It is not the outer circumstances that define you or your future. It is your internal state that shapes everything around you. The moment you shift your internal perception, the outer world must begin to reflect that change. But most people make the mistake of waiting for the world to validate their desire before they assume the feeling of already having it. They want to see evidence of success before they can confidently say they have succeeded. They look for the numbers to align before they can feel like a winner. But this is the reversal of the natural law. The world does not give you proof. It reflects your belief. The moment you assume the feeling of already being the winner, you have aligned yourself with the law of creation. You do not need any external sign to convince you that you are already victorious. You do not need the world's approval, nor do you need anyone else to confirm your success. The feeling itself is proof enough. When you assume the feeling of winning, when you walk in that assumption, you are walking in alignment with the truth of your own power. You no longer wait for the outside world to validate your assumption. You already know it is true, and the world has no choice but to reflect that truth. This is where many get caught in the trap of seeking approval or waiting for something in the outer world to validate their assumption. They look to the people around them, to their circumstances, to their finances, to tell them that they are worthy of their desire. But the truth is, you do not need any of that. You do not need external approval. You only need to believe in the assumption that you are already the one who has what you desire. The true victory is not in the outer world or in the numbers that appear on the ticket. The true victory is in your own state of being. Once you fully accept the feeling of having already won, the world will start to reflect that acceptance. The external signs will follow, but they are not the cause, they are simply the reflection of the inner truth you have already embraced. And when you stop looking to the world for confirmation, you step into your full power. You become the master of your own reality. You no longer let the external world dictate your experience. You decide that the feeling of already having what you desire is enough. You decide that the assumption of the wish fulfilled is enough. And in that decision, you release all attachment to the outer world's validation. It is a process of becoming, of embodying the state of already having. You do not chase the numbers. You do not chase external circumstances. You embody the feeling, and the circumstances must follow. The external world will align with the assumption you have claimed. So, when you feel the first stirrings of doubt, when you are tempted to look outward for confirmation, remember, the external world is only a mirror. It cannot tell you whether you have already won or not. It will reflect whatever you believe about yourself. If you believe you have already won, it will show you reflections of that belief. If you doubt, it will reflect doubt. Do not look outward for approval or confirmation. The first and most important sign that your lottery win is near is the feeling within you. It is the quiet confidence that you are already the one who has won. It is the inner knowing that your desire has already been fulfilled. And from that place of certainty, the outer world must begin to take shape around you. This is not a practice of wishful thinking. It is not about hoping that something will happen. It is about knowing, feeling, and living from the end result. It is about trusting in the law that what you assume to be true will inevitably become your reality. The world will reflect your assumption. But the true sign comes not from the world, but from within you. The first sign of your lottery win is not the numbers you see. It is the feeling that you already possess it. The world you experience is a reflection of your inner assumptions. Once you align with the state of already having won, your outer world must reflect that assumption. The world you see before you is not simply a random collection of events and circumstances. It is the mirror reflecting your inner state. This is one of the most powerful truths that, once fully realized, will completely transform your life. Every moment, every experience, every detail is a reflection of the assumptions you carry within you. It is not the world that shapes your beliefs, it is your beliefs that shape the world. When you desire to win, whether through the lottery or in any other aspect of your life, the starting point is never external. The world is not the source, it is the mirror. Your assumptions, those internal beliefs you hold, often without even realizing it, create the reality you experience. This is not just some abstract idea. It is the fundamental law of creation. The process begins with a simple but profound shift to align yourself with the end result, to embody the feeling of already having what you desire. If you want to experience a win, you must first become the winner in your heart, in your thoughts, in your assumptions. This is where the power lies, in your ability to assume the state of already having. Once you embody this assumption, you will begin to notice subtle changes in your outer reality. The world will begin to reflect your internal state. But these changes will be secondary. The first and most important change happens within you, as you begin to feel and live from the assumption that the win has already happened. The outer world, then, is simply a reflection. This is where many people misunderstand the process. They look to the world for evidence that their assumption is true. They wait for the numbers to align, for the tickets to be drawn, for some external sign that they are on the right path. But this is backwards. The external signs are simply echoes of the internal assumption. They are not the cause, but the effect. Your inner assumption is the seed, and the outer world is the flower that blooms from it. If you want to change the world around you, you must first change the world within you. It is not the world that needs to change. In order for you to win it is your internal state that must shift to align with the reality you wish to experience. The world cannot give you something you do not already assume. If you believe that you are a loser, if you believe that it is impossible for you to win, then that assumption will be reflected in your outer world. Your reality will align with the belief that you cannot win, and you will continue to experience that limitation. But when you assume that you have already won, when you step into the state of the winner, you begin to attract the circumstances that match that assumption. Your life begins to rearrange itself to accommodate the new belief. The numbers you seek, the opportunities you desire, the circumstances you wish for, they begin to emerge naturally, not as a result of effort, but as a result of your alignment with the truth of your assumption. This alignment is not a one-time event. It is a continuous process. It requires you to remain true to the assumption, to live and breathe from the feeling of already having won, even when the outer world does not yet reflect that reality. Your assumption must be unwavering. The outer world will reflect what is held true inside of you, and so your responsibility is to maintain that assumption consistently. When you stay aligned with the feeling of already having, when you live as though the win has already happened, you create a powerful momentum that cannot be stopped. The world will reflect this new state, and as it does, your experience will begin to change in ways you cannot yet fully imagine. But it all begins with your assumption. It is important to note that this process does not require struggle. It is not about fighting for what you want or trying to force things to happen. The true power lies in surrendering to the assumption and allowing the world to reflect it naturally. The feeling of already having is not a frantic energy. It is a calm, quiet confidence. You know that you have already received, and you walk through the world as though the win is already yours. The moment you stop seeking outside validation, the moment you stop waiting for proof from the external world, you open yourself to the flow of creation. The moment you know, without a shadow of a doubt, that your assumption is true, the world must align with that truth. There is no other possibility. The law of creation is simple. What you assume to be true must become true for you. And so, the first step to experiencing your lottery win, or any other manifestation, is to stop looking outward for signs and instead focus inward. Your inner state is the blueprint for everything you will experience. It is not the world that shapes you, but your perception of the world that shapes your reality. This realization is the key to freedom. Once you understand that the world is simply reflecting your inner state, you are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are the creator. You are the one who decides what you will experience. And when you decide to experience a win, when you decide to live as the winner, the world must reflect that decision. Remember, the world you experience is a reflection of your inner assumptions. The moment you align with the state of already having won, the outer world has no choice but to reflect that alignment. The process of manifestation is not about waiting for the world to change it, it is about aligning yourself with the world you wish to create. Once you do, the world will follow suit. You must live in the end. Live as if the lottery win has already happened, and the world will show you what you've assumed. Most people spend their lives waiting for the outer world to change in order for them to believe that their desires can become reality. They wait for the evidence to show up, the signs to appear, the results to manifest, and only then do they feel they can finally allow themselves to assume the feeling of success. But this is the reversal of the law. The outer world does not dictate your inner state, rather, your inner state dictates the world you see. You must first live in the end, and the outer world will catch up. This is the most crucial principle to understand when it comes to manifestation. If you want to win, whether it's winning the lottery, achieving a financial goal, or fulfilling any desire, then you must assume that the end result is already true. You must live as though it has already happened, and in doing so, the world will shift to reflect that assumption. Living in the end does not mean pretending or fantasizing. It means to genuinely feel the emotion of already having achieved your goal. It means occupying the state of the person who already has the lottery win. You must think, feel, and act from the perspective of the wish fulfilled. This is the key to unlocking the law of creation. The external world is simply a reflection of the inner assumptions you hold. When you assume the feeling of already having your desire, the world will begin to mirror that assumption. This is the nature of reality. What you believe is true on the inside, you will experience on the outside. The trick, then, is to stop waiting for the external world to validate your assumption and to instead live from the end result as if it has already been fulfilled. When you live in the end, you are no longer bound by the limitations of time or space. You are not concerned with when the win will happen or how it will happen. You already know that it has happened. The details of the how and when are irrelevant because you have already assumed the state of the person who holds the winning ticket. The power in this lies in the emotional shift. The feeling of already having is the creative force. It is not your actions that bring the win to you, it is your feeling. When you feel that the win has already occurred, you align yourself with the vibration of the reality you wish to create, and that reality must materialize. Most people try to create from a place of lack. They focus on what they don't have, what they need, what is missing, and they try to fix their circumstances from that point of view. But this approach only perpetuates the sense of lack. You cannot create from the state of I need this or I lack this. You must create from the state of having it already. To live in the end means to see yourself as already successful, to see yourself as already wealthy, to see yourself as already the winner. This internal shift is what will bring the external changes. You no longer look for the evidence in the outer world. You live from the assumption that the world must reflect your new state. In order to live in the end, you must be willing to believe. Belief is not something that happens after the results come. Belief is the cause of the results. You must first believe that your desire is already fulfilled, and from that belief, everything else will follow. The outer world cannot give you belief. You must generate it from within. The moment you decide that your wish is already fulfilled, the world must reflect that decision. Living in the end also means that you no longer allow circumstances to dictate your state. Many people allow the world to dictate how they feel. They react to their circumstances, whether good or bad, and allow those reactions to shape their mood, thoughts, and actions. But when you live in the end, you do not react to your circumstances. You are the creator of your circumstances. You maintain your assumption of the wish fulfilled, regardless of what is happening in the outer world. When you make this shift, when you live as though the lottery win has already happened, you become immune to the fluctuations of the external world. You no longer look to the outside for confirmation. You live in the end result, and everything else aligns to match it. The people you encounter, the opportunities that arise, the circumstances that unfold, all of it will reflect the assumption that you have already won. This shift in consciousness is what allows you to detach from the need for external validation. You no longer need the world to tell you that you've won. You already know. You already live in that state. This is the secret to true manifestation. When you live as if you already have, the world must show you what you have assumed. It is important to understand that living in the end is not about forcing things to happen. It is not about struggling or trying to make things work. It is about relaxing into the feeling of already having. It is about trusting that the world will conform to the assumption that you have made. When you live in the end, you no longer try to make things happen. You allow them to happen naturally as a result of the state you have assumed. The world will always reflect the state in which you are living. If you live as the winner, the world must show you the winning ticket. If you live as the person who has already received, the world will show you the circumstances that match that reality. It is the law of creation. What you assume to be true must be made true for you. This is the power of living in the end. When you live as though your lottery win has already occurred, you align yourself with the vibration of that reality, and it must come to you. You do not need to worry about how or when it is already done. The world will show you exactly what you have assumed. The journey of manifesting your desires, whether it's winning the lottery or achieving any other goal, begins not in the outer world, but within you. The process of manifestation follows a simple yet profound truth. The world you experience is a reflection of the assumptions you hold about yourself and your reality. Your thoughts, beliefs, and feelings create the circumstances and experiences you encounter. By aligning yourself with the end result, the feeling of already having what you desire, you shift your inner state, and the world begins to reflect that change. You do not need to wait for external validation or evidence to prove that your dreams are possible. The moment you decide to live from the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled, the world must follow suit. This is the natural law of creation. The key is to live in the end, to embody the feeling of already having your desire, and to trust that your assumptions are shaping the world around you. As you continue to practice this, remember that your inner state is the cause, and the outer world is simply the effect. The numbers, the signs, the external circumstances will align with the reality you have already created within. Do not look outward for signs of confirmation. Instead, trust in the internal knowing that your wish is already fulfilled. As you maintain this unwavering assumption, your external reality will naturally reflect the truth of your belief. The process is not about effort, struggle, or forcing things to happen. It is about relaxing into the knowing that you already possess what you desire and allowing the world to reflect this truth. Live in the end result, feel the victory, and the world will show you the path to manifesting your desires. Ultimately, the secret to your success lies within you. The outer world will always mirror your internal assumptions. So, begin today by assuming that your dream has already come true, and the world will align with that assumption. You are the creator of your reality, and once you understand and live by this law, your desires must manifest.